this video, we will be looking at how to use the Questia project in Paperspaces to organize research and create an annotated bibliography. First, let's review the Questia project space a bit. I'm here on the home page. If I want to do a search for articles, I can do that by typing some search terms in this box that says Search Our Library, or I can go over to the right-hand menu side here and use the Topic Finder, which is under the Writing Center, right here. Now, as it happens, the last time I played with the Topic Finder, I got Vikings, and I socked away a few articles that I thought looked interesting. So I'm going to use that in a keyword search. Not here, because on the topic idea space, it only takes single words, and I want to make mine a little bit more fine-tuned. So I'm going to go back to the main search area here. I'm going to type in Vikings, but I'm also going to type in not football. What this will do is limit the search to things that are about Vikings, but not things that are about the NFL team. So once I do that, I'm going to come in here and look through the list. Now, I've already picked out a few scholarly articles and put them into a project. So what I'm going to do now is go over to magazines, and I'm going to pick a few of these. I'm going to be able to add these to my project by coming in here, and after I have read a little bit of it, I can save to the active project. You have one by default, and we'll look at that in just a second, but now that's in my active project. Let's go back to the menu now. I can access my project space here under Projects. I can also edit the name of my project. If I come here, you see I have a default project here. I can click the gear and I can change the name of that to something else. Let's make that Vikings and save it. I can also create a new project if I have more than one research project going at once. Maybe I have a composition theories paper I want to work on. I can make it my active project if I'm going to be doing research in it right now, but I'm not, so I'm just going to save it. Now I have two. You can see that the Vikings one is still the currently active one. So that's how you can do your projects. You can also create a paper. You can either do that by scrolling down and learning more about papers. If you actually had some papers already created, there'd be a list here, or you can go back up to the menu and get to it from there. Go into the Writing Center and go to My Papers. From here, you can start a new paper. Just click the button and then give it a title. We'll call this Vikings Research for now. And of course, it's about Vikings, and I'll give it a due date. I'll say it's due next month. Click it there and save it. So now I have a paper going. Now, the difference between these two spaces, the project space and the paper spaces, in the paper space, you can use different tools to help you go through the research project and kind of keep it all together in one place. You can use the topic finder again here under your papers. You can learn some things about research and note taking and do your research here. You can get some help creating a thesis for your paper. You can get some help with an outline, either use a template or the outline starter to walk you through it step by step. And last but not least, you can do the bibliography for your paper. And of course, when you have all of it done, you can click on Write My Paper and you can export all the documents that are in your paper space to help you write your final paper. So what I would say is use them if you find them helpful. You can do the bibliography though from either the paper space or the project space, and it works about the same way. Now let's talk a little bit about annotated bibliographies in general. What are they and why would you want to use one? Well, basically they consist of two elements: a list of the sources you've read and information about what's in those sources. Let's look at an example of one that I created for a paper last year. Now, these are useful because they help you figure out what you've read, which also helps you figure out what you need to look for in order to answer your questions. They also provide a record of everything you've seen and what was in each source in case you need to go back and reread a source more closely for different information. Now, this beats rereading everything to find that one idea you vaguely remember but don't know where you saw it. And finally, when it comes time for you to create a works cited page for your paper, you already have all the information you need in the right format. All you have to do is delete sources you didn't use and delete out the notes. In other words, an annotated bibliography keeps you organized and it saves you time and effort. To create an annotated bibliography, you first need to get a list of your sources. Questia makes it easy for you to export this list all at one time, and it will be mostly in the same format you'll need later for your works cited page for your paper. If you have additional sources from library databases, it's easy to copy and paste these in once you have the file from Questia. So let's first create our MLA bibliography like this. Let's go back to Questia, we'll go to the home page that's here, and we'll go to our active project, which is Vikings. Now from the project space, what you're going to do is select the items that you want in the bibliography. You can select them all here at the top by clicking this. And then if you want to, you can take some out. I've got several here about composition and rhetoric. I'm going to take those back out so that the only thing that exports is my cool stuff about Vikings. See, it's all here. Once you've got that, you go to the bottom, create bibliography, and it's going to default to MLA. You'll leave it like that because that's what we're doing. Create, and it will give you some warnings here about things that you want to look at, and this is your bibliography. Now you can either save it in your project space if you want to, but I just go ahead and export it to Microsoft Word. Once you're here, you can see that it shows you the title, which you can change. I would suggest you call it your last name and your first name and Annotated Bibliography. You can abbreviate that if you want, and maybe what project it is in case you have several you're working on, and then your course number. We'll say your course is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can save it in your downloads or you can save it somewhere else. I'll just save it there, and now I have my file. Now once it's saved, you'll open it in Word. You'll have to tweak the formatting a little bit. Let me show you that. Right now it doesn't look anything like what you just saw. You can see that this is blue up here. It's not double spaced, but it's really easy to change it. So here are the changes that you'll need to make. You'll change the font to Times New Roman or something similar. I would also take Arial if you want to do that. Times New Roman's right here. You're also going to want it to be all 12 point. I think that title is a little big. You'll also want, it looks to me like the title is bold, so I'm going to toggle the bold back and forth to make sure that that's off, and I'm also going to make it where it's all black. I don't know why they do it the other way. The other thing that you need to change here besides the font is the line spacing. So you're going to go over here and change it from this to double spaced, and that looks a lot more like the other file that we had, if you remember. I'll even switch back. See that? Okay, so now we've got this. And you'll need to do this if you export out of Questia for your final works cited page. You'll need to do this again for that. Now, what are we going to do next? Well, annotation means that you're creating some notes for yourself or a reader about what's in each source that you've considered for your paper. So to create the annotated bibliography, you've got this list where you've exported the bibliography from Questia, you've tweaked the formatting, you've saved it, and now what you're going to do is between each entry you're going to open up a line and type a short summary of what's in each work. So just go here to the end, and you're here, and you'll type your short summary. And that can be 2 or 3 sentences, probably just what's in it. And then you also want to put in here information about how this information might be useful in your paper. And I would open up a space between each one and just do this again. Summary and notes, and so on. And that's how you basically do it. And then you just save the whole thing. If you want to go back and look at a completed one again, this is kind of what it looks like. I've got this here, and then I've got what was useful, what's in the essay or the article or the book, and then how I think that I can use it. Here's one from Ray Bradbury's Zen in the Art of Writing, and then again it talks about some things and how I think I can use it. I actually even used a couple of things here, quotes that I wanted to particularly remind myself for in that book. Of course, you'll be doing your research over several weeks, so your bibliography should grow as you consult more sources and read them. What I do is export your new sources into a new file periodically from Questia, and then cut and paste them into your main annotated bibliography and add the notes. So on one side here I have my my new bibliography, the one I just created, and here's my annotated bibliography file from that old paper. To add my entries from this new works cited page to my annotated bibliography, I'm just going to cut and paste entries. So I'm going to take the first one by John Aberth, and I can either Control C to copy, or I can left click and copy it that way. I'm going to Control C here. I'm going to come over to this side, and Control V will paste, or you can come up here to edit and you can paste and match formatting. I'd actually do that for this. So now you've got that, and now what you can do is just add your notes, your summary, and annotations right here, and open up some space so you see how that works. And you would basically put these in wherever they fall in the alphabet. So for Eric Carter, I'm going to scroll down past Ray Bradbury, Julia Cameron, and he would go right here. So I will edit, paste and match formatting, and now Eric Carter's article is in there as well. And then you just keep adding and annotating your sources. Now at the end of the paper process, if all your sources were from Questia, you can just export a clean copy of the works cited page, including only the sources you actually used in your paper. If you used outside sources, you could copy and paste them into here the same way as you did while you were adding to your bibliography. I hope this overview has been helpful, and enjoy your research.